Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and guess what? It's been about a year since Whitey Bulger was brutally murdered, probably on camera in a corrections facility, and still there are no charges being brought against anyone. They seem to have one major murder suspect, and another two people are being held in solitary confinement and possibly going to be charged with conspiracy. But conspiracies don't exist. And here's the thing, a lot of the corrections officers are saying, why has this person not at least been charged yet? The guy was 89 years old. He was murdered within 12 hours of being put into general population, and with good reason if you know who he is, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But more importantly, why do you think it is that we don't have somebody, charged with this yet? Well, I'll give you a reason. Because he was a high-level FBI informant. The devil you know, right? And a lot of the mainstream, before we get into this article, because it's pretty interesting, a lot of the mainstream is going to tell you, oh, well, Whitey Bulger, he just played them. No, he worked with them to lock up his enemies. He wasn't playing the FBI. The FBI is the higher-level criminal organization at some point. So is the Central Intelligence Agency. And this is the truth. And when he did die, a lot of people, the headline used to be, FBI informant, FBI agents. If you type that in, it's well known. See, it says secret informant to the FBI. FBI informant, fixture, on the most wanted list at that time. And at the end of the day, he is, based in the Jack Nicholson character and, all these other people, but then he gets his own biopic, Black Mass. Okay? So, let's get into it. What do we know about this? Okay? First of all, he got convicted of 11 murders. This shows you what a high-level gangster is. And, why do I call it the Epstein effect? Well, now you can be in a prison with guards and, obviously be put into situations that should not happen, right? Where you should have video footage of everything. And if you watched my earlier video on, finally, the coroner, the forensic pathologist who was there during the autopsy taking place, making some pretty big revelations. Please go check that out after this. But Bulger himself, again, 89 years old, and I don't think he should have been given special treatment. The guy was a monster, for sure. But the real question is, how much dirt did he have on high-level FBI agents, not just gangsters, or gangsters that worked with other intelligence organizations? So let's get into it. On the one-year anniversary of the infamous mob boss James Whitey Bulger's murder at a high-security West Virginia prison, the person responsible for the attack remains a mystery. Bulger was found beaten to death with a lock and a sock in his cell at Hazleton Federal Prison on October 30th, 2018. 12 months later, key questions about the high-profile slaying have yet to be answered. The biggest being, why haven't authorities charged anyone with his murder? I don't get what's taken them so long, a corrections officer at the prison nicknamed Misery Mountain told NBC News this week. It happened in a housing unit. It wasn't someplace hidden. With the cameras, they can see everybody who went into and out of that cell. What makes it even more interesting is when they found Bulger dead, he was wrapped up in his bed. Right there. His body was reportedly found wrapped in a blanket in his bed, posed to make it look like he was sleeping. Okay? Now, Freddie Gies is who the main suspect is. But again, you have Sean McKinnon, who's being held, and I think there's somebody else. So, you got to ask yourself, why hasn't there been? Now, there's people that'll say, well, the actual murderer isn't going to be caught on actual camera, right? They'll just pick up the goings in and out of the cell. But again, then you know who was there when he died, period. did they get masked up? Who gave them the lock to do this with? How did they get the body out? It has been a year. So I think a lot of these are just excuses. Just like when you talk about Jeffrey Epstein and the murder there, where now it's two separate guards that supposedly fell asleep and weren't on watch, according to Baden. Two separate cameras that were down. That the first attack, according to Epstein, was an attack and it was not a suicide attempt. That he had a second roommate afterwards that was taken away. And less than 12 hours after that suicide watch was gone. That 12-hour mark, man, you better watch it if they're pulling the shady stuff. He has 3 of his neck bones broken. Now, Baden said in his 50-year history that he had never seen that. And that even with strangulation, it's usually 2. 3 is an excessive one. He says he's never seen it in a hanging. He also says it would have taken like 25, 30 minutes to cut up the sheets. However, he did rip them up. So these things were apparently ripped up. He said forensic evidence was taken. He never got to see any DNA. And that's what's really upsetting here. Because let me give you an example. Right now I'm reading through these Finders documents. We're going to do a deep dive into them, the FBI vault. Talking about that. Talking about the FBI. And when you look at these initial documents, it's the FBI saying in no way is this connected as a CIA front, right? And I'm not saying that's not the case, but when they get into the supposed sexual abuse of children, you have to remember there are those medical reports that clearly state at least 2 of them look like they had been abused. They had all the earmarks of it. I don't understand how that would happen. And then you look at the evidence of the preschool and what was said to be found. Derek Brose of the Conscious Resistance has done really great stuff. The local police reports just don't make sense with what the FBI later finds. And I know there's questions about Ted Gunderson, and there should be. I'm not saying we shouldn't question everything. But when you get into these fields, again with Epstein, let's talk about it. Luke getting on the island with Berwick. When they go up to that temple, the door is painted on. A lot of it's a facade. So what's really going on in that place? The illusion is there. It's just like that piece of disinformation that went out after Epstein died, where we had the book review of Ghislaine Maxwell, the trolling. Is that a purposeful disinformation campaign? Is that just the era we live in? Do the powers that be bank on things like that so they know they can get away with, what appears to be the murder of Epstein in a high-level prison, in the most high-profile case out there? And it looks like there's a possibility that whoever had Whitey Bulger killed and did the killing may also get off the hook in another high-level, FBI informant. Again, they'll spin it. They'll say, oh, that Whitey, he duped him. Let's not forget that, like Sammy the Bull Gravano, who also murdered a lot of people, arguably more than Bulger directly, right? He's got his own podcast, The Bullpen. And he got caught again with the ecstasy ring. Okay? These high-level criminals end up cutting deals. Why? Because not only are they able to cut deals, but they've got dirt on all these agents they've worked with. And where everything's really coming from. The high-level mafia guys, the ones that are brutal and make it out, often are working with our intelligence agencies, whether it's the FBI or the CIA or now these sub-organizations. And that's the reality. And, that's why plausible deniability will continue to be there. And a year later, like I said, and this is a really good article, by the way. Not only is the article good, but then you get a breakdown, of Bulger's career as a lifelong gangster. But if you want to really read into his FBI informant, you can. Guys, doing it 3 to 7 times a day. I'm going to do a little walk and talk with the dog. We're definitely going to do that breakdown. I'm supposed to be doing the tinfoil podcast on the McGregor cover-up. How, it's big money for Disney, WME Entertainment, the UFC, ESPN to keep this information under wraps, but we're going to push forward on that because it's the truth as well. Like I said, did that huge Epstein update. You got to check that out. Check out Tulsi with the 9/11 families. And I am a documentary filmmaker. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, Shade the Motion Picture, all available free here in the documentaries playlist. Thumbs this video up, share it, join the Burmese Brigade. If you're new to the channel and enjoy this content, you want to support me financially, please do at the GoFundMe location in the link here, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. I love you guys, and I will see you on the flip side.